Hey, what's up, everyone? I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. I'm going to give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. So let's get into this topic here. Chris Broussard. Chris Broussard was just like me when it came to Victor Wembanyama. He was supporting the Spurs all the way to the finals, and he was supporting Wemby. He was very, very supportive of him, and he thought that he would do well. Certainly, I did. I thought that Victor Wembanyama was going to win the finals and win the MVP, and I thought it was going to be a great year. And I was hyping him up because at the time he was giving people the reason to do so. You know how he played in beating the reigning champs of the Oklahoma City Thunder, but then he got to the finals and Victor just fell apart, and he began to show a lot of his immaturity, and a lot of people began to call it out. And I think it was all justified, and I think it was 100%. In bounds here. So yesterday on First Things First, they were discussing this very thing. They were still talking about the finals, but more importantly, they were focusing on how the Spurs collapsed. And at the heart of it, it was Victor getting exposed for having a lack of an offensive package. You could see it. You could see it. And Victor went out of his way to not utilize his size, which then made him irrelevant offensively. For you to be 7'5", if you're going to be that tall, you're not going to utilize your size advantage. Then everyone out there might as well just play at the same height. There's no purpose, right? And it was very frustrating at times, but it also exposed the fact that Victor has some holes in his game, and areas that he needs to seriously focus on offensively to really get himself on the right track. And essentially, that's what Chris Broussard was talking about. It wasn't anything malicious, but he was saying the things that I think most of us were able to observe on our own, just watching the series. But before we even get into what Chris Broussard had to say, today's video is brought to you by sponsor Kachava. Now, before we continue, let me tell you something. This year, I got serious about taking care of my body, training, nutrition, all of it. Nothing extreme. I just wanted to take better care of myself. But my days get busy between work, moving around, getting to the gym. Life fills up fast. And when it does, nutrition is the first thing to fall apart. I would skip meals, grab whatever was easy, and feel it by the afternoon. Then I started using Kachava's new travel pack. Just one packet gives you complete nutrition ready for life to go on. Plant-based protein, fiber, greens, vitamins, probiotics, omegas, electrolytes, and more. No artificial flavors, no sweeteners, no soy, no gluten, no preservatives, and no animal products. All the nutrition my body craves in one delicious shake, packed to go. It keeps my energy steady all day, and more importantly, it actually tastes amazing. If you have been meaning to take better care of yourself, this is the easiest place to start. Take your daily ritual with you. Go to Kachava.com and use code DREAMERS for 15% off your first order. That's Kachava, Kachava.com, code DREAMERS. And here's one more thing. If you decide to try it, send us your receipt to DreamersProOfficial@gmail.com. And we will give you 2 months free in the Dreamers Pro community we are building, or 50% off on your future merchandise when we launch it. Okay, perfect. So what we want to do is I want to play the sound here from Chris, take a listen to it in its entirety, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Chris Broussard here.
Okay, Wemby learned. What did you learn about Wemby?
Nick is going to love my first answer.
Great.
He's not as likable as everyone thought.
You don't say.
Now, I still like him. All right? But I've said, I think Nick, there was a point.
100% approval
2 weeks,
rating.
yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Be Magic Johnson.
Everybody, everybody, I love this guy. I love he got the killer instinct. He's this and that. And obviously the elbow, I mean, it's not just the finals, but the elbow.
He was
some
kind of addicted to flagrant fouls.
Yeah, I mean, some of the, smushing Brunson and all that. So that was a little surprising to me because his approval rating, if you will, seemed to be so high. But really, his weaknesses were exposed. And I've said he's about 70% of the player he will be or could be. And that 30% is what the Knicks capitalized on. Mm-hmm. His strength, it's like a broken record, but he's got to get stronger. And we were texting once a week or two ago, and I said, sometimes less can be more. Now, Wemby, his skill is phenomenal, right? For a 7'5" guy to do what he does. Shaq will tell you, and I believe Shaq, I'm not saying he would have done what Wemby does, but he had some perimeter skills. He could dribble. You know, he wasn't a shooter, a great shooter, but he could shoot okay. Like, he could have done things on the perimeter. Kareem certainly could have. But they knew me dominating in this one thing is what it's going to take for us to win. And so Wemby, I think he takes pride in the fact that he's got the handle and can shoot threes and all that.
The threes.
But he needs to, I don't want him to stop doing that stuff, but he needs to spend a way more time closer to the basket. And I blame some of this on the Spurs because they have clearly not emphasized it to him. He doesn't start any sets down there, any of that. And so this summer, I think these are the people he should talk to. And he's got a plethora of them in the Spurs organization. But Tim Duncan.
Available.
Duncan was one move, one dribble, very efficient.
Off the backboard.
Right. I mean, just very efficient stuff near the basket.
Great call.
Free throw line and down. Obviously, we talked about Olajuwon. How about using some of the stuff you learned from Hakeem this year? Get in the weight room. And I also think, Nick, and I talked about kind of the similarities with him and LeBron early in their careers. I think you should talk to LeBron if he can, and I'm sure he can. He should reach out to LeBron about, man, what you went through as a younger player, what I'm going through as a younger player. I know LeBron, after 11, reached out to a lot of legends. And so I think that would benefit him as well.
So you heard his comments. I 100% concur with him. You know, watching that series, you would look at Victor like, why are you drifting out of the three-point line? And in many occasions, Victor would, it seems like he didn't understand. It looked like Victor Wembanyama didn't understand how to attack the defense. He didn't understand how to use his strengths. First of all, you're jab stepping. You're 7'5". If you raise up and shoot, no one is blocking your shot. So I don't know why Victor at a lot of times would just like jab stepping and pass the ball out, set a screen, reposition, like, okay. Then he would get the ball at the top of the key. Then he would drive to the paint. You think he's going to make a move. Then he would go. Then he would pivot, spin, and then throw off some awkward shot. It's like he would get to the paint and he didn't know what to do when he finally got there. Then, of course, you talk about his weight. He's not heavy enough. So you could have bigger forwards with a lower center of gravity like OG Anunoby, who could get underneath him and just basically shift him out of his spots. They also happened when he was trying to post up. By the time he would actually get the catch, he would be all the way right back at damn near the three-point line again. So you could see that there were definitely holes in his game, and that's what was so annoying about listening to Victor, because he wasn't willing to accept that. It was just like, yeah, you know, like I think when they were down 3-1 going back to San Antonio, he goes out there and says, yeah, everyone knows we're going to do it, meaning everyone knows we're going to come back from being in a 3-1 deficit. It's like, what is this? And then you get to the end of game 5, and then you choke it away again. Then you had moments in the playoffs where he refused to even speak to me. I'm like, Victor, what the hell is going on? You're making people like us that were supporters of you look like freaking morons out here. And that's what's infuriating about all of this. But from a basketball standpoint, I think all of the points that Chris Broussard was making were 100% valid. 100% valid. These are my thoughts.